Okay, so today I wanted to share my super simple framework of how you can kind of use, you can use Cloud Code, you can use Codex to kind of automate in a simple way whatever you want. And for this, I just have kind of three things I want to use here. I want to use a cron job for timing. This is of course important if you want to have this triggered on a schedule. Like yesterday's video, I want to use the Claude-P, and we need a skill for headless. And sometimes we really want to use the browser also for automation. And if you watch my previous videos, I created this framework or this setup called Surfagent, so we're gonna use that too. So these three things are basically all we need for like a super simple but very effective automation flow. So I'm gonna show you how this works today and how I set this up. So now, before we get into it, I just want to show you how I plan to do this today and what kind of automation we want to do. Okay, so for this example, what we're gonna do is pretty straightforward. We want to set up this Hermes AI agent use cases research. This is just an example, right? So we have this, you can call it these 5 steps here. We want to do a search using the SerpApi, that is today's sponsor. I'm going to tell you more about them later. We do Google, YouTube news search. We search for Hermes AI agent past 7 days. We verify this using our Surfagent by going to the browser, fact checking, looking at all the sources. We're going to write a report. We're going to submit the report on a Google form I have created for this. So again, the Surfagent comes in. It can do form filling on the browser in Chrome. So you will see that too. And then it's just going to clean up. So this is going to be the example we're going to run through today. So I think we're just going to head over to the Mac Mini. And let's run this example so you can actually see it work in practice. So like I said, everything here is going to be skill driven. And this recon skill is what is going to drive our automation here. You can see basically it's a pretty standard setup because I want to show you how we are going to run this now. So this is the command that's going to be triggered if we put this into a cron job. I'm not going to do that today, but if you have a cron job, you can just trigger this command in bash when that cron job fires. So we do Claude-P and we do the /recon in query. So if you know in Cloud Code, this will actually trigger the skill. If I do like skill /recon, something like that, this will of course trigger the skill we have created. So basically when we are running this, this will actually trigger our skill. I passed in the model here. I want to do Claude Sonnet 4.6 on this, and I want to do dangerously script permissions because I want to allow all tool use on this example automated cron job setup. So basically that is going to run this skill, right? That is a cron driven recon skill. So it's going to pull fresh SerpApi results from Google, YouTube and news, use Surfagents to fetch everything we talked about. And basically that is the whole setup. So before I show you how this runs now, I talked about SerpApi in this video. This is very crucial to exactly this setup. So let me tell you about today's sponsor, SerpApi. So we all know that context is crucial when it comes to building out your agents and skills, and we want this to be as reliable as possible. And today's sponsor, SerpApi, does exactly that. So I want to show you how I use SerpApi to set up my skills in, for example, Cloud Code today. So I just want to head over to their documentation here. So let's head to my dashboard. And here you can see I find the documentation for the Google search engine results. So I'm going to grab this, and YouTube, we have that too, I think. YouTube Search API, this is also something I like to use. And I put all the documentation here in cursor, so we have the documentation. Then I can just head over to my Cloud Code and let me do this prompt here. I'm just gonna say read the docs SerpApi, build a skill that uses the API key in env, use the SerpApi to get context from Google Search, Google News and YouTube based on the user's input. And now we're gonna build out these skills and let's test it and see how reliable this works now. Okay, so you can see Cloud Code built the SERP context skill here. So now let's test it out and see if we can do some quick research. So let's just use the SERP context skill, search YouTube and Google for any news around GPT 5.5 or SPUD. So this was released yesterday and this should bring up now all the latest, freshest news from a simple Google search where we get this nice JSON output I can show you. See, all the outputs comes in this JSON format here, and this is very useful for LLMs, right? So let's go back to Cloud Code now, see what we have here. Yes, you can see the launch. We have all the info we gathered from the launch here. Officially launched yesterday, April 23rd, perfect. What is the most viewed YouTube video on GPT 5.5? And you can see it's super fast, it's reliable, right? And I can just say open it. So this is why I love using SerpApi when it comes to building out my agents and skills. the reliability, the avoiding of captchas, proxies, and everything. So if you want to try SerpApi now, follow the link in the description or just scan the QR code on the screen. You will get 250 credits that you can play around with and set up your skills on agents. So big thanks to SerpApi for sponsoring this part of the video. Now let's go back to the project. Okay, so now we want to run this. So basically the way I have set this up, you can do this a bunch of different ways. I just hard code my topic into the skill here, but you could pass this in like a bash or something if you wanted to change it up. But today we're gonna do research on the Hermes AI agent use case, and hopefully we're gonna end up with a Google form that is filled out fully autonomously by Sonnet 46, so we can look at what it did find here. So what we want to do now is pretty straightforward. Yeah, we have no tabs open, so I'm gonna head here and I'm just gonna run this command now, and that is all we need to do, right? So I'm gonna start this now. So of course this first part now using SerpApi is headless, so we won't see anything. But since I'm running this on like a dedicated Mac Mini, I can do the browser with my Surfagent setup. I can do that without headless. So this could be, we can watch what happens. So first now, of course, it's gonna do some SerpApi, look up finding some YouTube videos, and then we're gonna go into the Surfagent, and you will probably see the browser is being triggered here on the screen, and Claude is looking at all the sources it found on the Hermes agent. So let's just wait for that, and then we can follow along what happens. Okay, so now you can see the Surfagent is launching the browser, right? It's looking up Hermes. It found a video here on a YouTuber talking about the Hermes agent. And remember, it's going to look for 3 videos. And you can see on the right here, it's looking at the transcript. It's gathering all the information in transcripts. It's going to scroll down, hopefully, and look at some of the comments to get some information from there. Let's see if it's going to do that. Yeah, you can see it scrolling down, looking at the comments. Now it's probably gonna do the next video and see what happens here. Yeah, here's the final one. This is a different video. And again, probably gonna check the transcript, look at the comments. And now you can see it's heading over to Reddit too. And you can also see it's checking its sources on the web here. So here it is on Decrypt and it's on another website, scrolling through the sources. So it's basically doing some fact checking on what it looked at. And now we go to Search Hacker News to see if there are any interesting stuff there. So it's basically doing like a mini recon, mini research setup, looking at the topic we had. And finally, it's going to end up on that Google form and fill it out. And we can access this from our mobile, right? Okay, so it closed the tabs here. Hopefully now it's going to head to the Google form and fill out that. Yeah, perfect. Here is my AI agent automation recon form. So we have 3 questions. What was your most interesting idea you found from the research today? We're going to leave the URLs of the sources, and it's going to rate the idea from 1 to 5 stars, right? So that is all the forms we have, and it's going to click submit, and I can access this, like I said, from my, yeah, you can see. Here it puts in like an omni-variable device plus Obsidian Vault plus Hermes agent. Creates an always-on ambient memory loop, okay? It leaves the URL for the source of that ID, the YouTube, and it rated it 5 out of 5 stars. And that was sent, and that is the whole loop now. If we head back here now, I think when this ends, we get like a summary in the terminal too of what happened. And that kind of completes the loop, and the cron job stops. And the next day, you can run this again, and you can also have a bunch of different cron jobs you wanted to set up with the different topics, right? So it's very flexible. So let's see here now. Yeah, we got this 5 novel ID. Hermes, yeah, here we have some more IDs, but remember it picked the one that it thought was the best. But we ended up with total 5 IDs here we can continue working on if we wanted to. Okay, so we gave a 4 out of 5 rating, not 5. Okay, that was my bad. So yeah, that is the full loop, fully automated research, plus fact-checking using Surfagent and stuff like that. So let me show you the form now, and let's see if our response got recorded. And you can see now we have 1 response, so I'm going to click on this, and yeah, you can see we have it. Yeah, we got a 4 out of 5, and everything works here. So this is a super simple way to kick off this automated setups, and basically you can turn it into whatever you wanted. It doesn't really have to be this kind of research, but with the simple framework of using like the Claude-P with the skill setup, and you can add in like today's sponsor SerpApi, that is also really good, but because you can search Google and you can search YouTube and a bunch of other things too, like I said in the integration. And of course, my Surfagent can do everything, browser, fill out forms and everything. So you'll find a link in the description also to my Surfagent. So yeah, that is what I wanted to share today. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check out SerpApi. You can find the link in the description and you will get 250 credits, like I said. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hope this gave you some inspiration of building out your AI agent automation setups. And I will see you again soon.